Welcome in, one and all, to the International Dynasty Download. My name is Delftdad, and today we're taking a look at yet another roster. This time, it's MattGoodin, the International Packers fan, owner of the London Underground. He is currently 33 and 35, but that does not tell the whole story. He is one of the few teams that has consistently gotten better throughout his time in this league, starting in 2019 with a 10th place finish after finishing 3-10. He moved up to 5-8 in 2020, 2 years at 8-6 in 21 and 22, before finally 9-5 in 2023. His playoff luck has been not great, but a solid team that is putting together a growing stat line. I like where Matt's going with this. I think he's got a good, solid team built here. So let's dive into it. Number one, we start off at the top. We always start off with QBs. It's a super flex league. This is the most important position. His quarterback ranking in this is 7th currently. I don't know if that's accurate. It may be. Maybe it is. But he has two quarterbacks that finished in the top 15 this year, Jordan Love and Matthew Stafford. Will that happen again? Matthew Stafford, I think, is a question mark, but Jordan Love looks to be a solid quarterback for fantasy football, at least. Go Bears. Really hope it's not good long term. Sorry, Matt. On the bright side, you get to cheer for the team that you love, and then you have the quarterback from your team. So that's pretty cool. Beyond that, Derek Carr and Jameis Winston are going to provide you some sort of value throughout the year, which is nice. You have some backups, but Sam Ehlinger not going anywhere. This group here is a little top heavy, and I'm worried about Matthew Stafford retiring next year. So quarterback is a position of need, not for 2024, but for 2025 for sure, because you will just not have a quarterback. That is one thing that I think this roster might have a little too much mix of old and young, and this roster might struggle to compete after next year. And there might be some key pieces that might need to be traded away, as this is a roster that is looking like 2024 might be the last year for competing before a teardown. As we move into the running backs, I think you can kind of see that more, right? You have at the top, Tajay Spears, who's currently on Matt's taxi squad, is listed as the top valued RB in Dynasty. So I think that kind of gives a hint at it. But when you look down the list of this here, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook, A.J. Dillon. I mean, this is a team that in 2019 would have dominated. But now that we're in 2023, this is a team that is aging out. So Josh Jacobs here is a guy who could have a little bit of a renaissance here in 2024. I don't think he's bad value there. Tony Pollard, I think Dallas is going to sign somebody, Derrick Henry. And I think that's actually going to probably help Tony Pollard's value a little bit, or at least his perception within the Dynasty community. So he might be a guy that if next year, 2024, isn't working out for you, this is a guy maybe you look to trade. Chuba Hubbard, kind of a diamond in the rough, in my opinion. He looks to have the starting job in Carolina. Maybe I'm wrong, but he looks to have locked that up, and he's 24 years old and getting workhorse loads. So, I mean, that to me says he might be a good asset going forward. Maybe even better than some of the other guys listed above him here. The rest of this, A.J. Dillon, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook, Keontae Ingram, it's fodder, to be honest with you. And some of these guys might provide you a game or two here from a flex perspective, especially if A.J. Dillon goes to a better situation than Green Bay. but I just don't see any of these guys reaching a true potential, which is rather unfortunate. Zeke, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook, all of them on their way out, and Keontae Ingram just doesn't look good. All right, moving on down to the wide receiver position. We have your highest ranked wide receiver is a guy you drafted, what was that, 4th round this year? Let's see, it was pick 405. Yeah. I mean, just well done. Well done. As a fellow Puka Nacua Dynasty owner in a different league, it feels good, doesn't it? Just to have that hit, especially since you own Cooper Kupp, who is, on his way out. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But T. Higgins and Christian Kirk are 2 solid wide receivers. It'll be interesting to see what happens to T. Higgins in the offseason. Hopefully he goes somewhere where he can stay healthy, because, man, oh man, it's been a rough ride. Jacoby Myers is also a solid contributor. It'll be interesting to see how he fares with this offseason as well. Devonta Adams, rumors of leaving, and that would make Jacoby Myers the wide receiver 1 in Las Vegas. So that would be pretty interesting, although they did just sign Luke Getsy. And as a Bears fan, let me tell you, that's not going to be good for the offense. So the rest of this group here, A.T. Perry, Tyler Boyd, Adam Thielen, Devonta Parker, all guys who, could contribute. The last 3, Tyler Boyd, Adam Thielen, Devontae Parker, probably on the way out. So again, this is a roster that's really old in some areas and really young in others. And bench wide receiver is definitely one of those areas where you are very old and you need depth. So hopefully you can continue to hit on 4th round picks. And look at that, Jake Ferguson, another 4th round pick that you hit on. I mean, to hit on back-to-back 4th round picks in 2 years is kind of nuts. Jake Ferguson was the 409 in 2022. Well done. Well done, Matt. Like, just all the flowers to you. I don't think that you need to do anything with this tight end position. I think you're doing just fine, and dandy. Jake Ferguson will be a solid tight end for the next, until Dak Prescott leaves. Let's be real. Darren Waller, good bye-week fill-in if he's healthy. Noah Fant, Daniel Bellinger, Foster Moreau, maybe not Foster Moreau. Noah Fant and Daniel Bellinger also good bye-week fill-ins when they're playing. So not much to speak of here. It's not a truly important position, and I think you have a solid starter. So that's really all you need. Now we get to the interesting part, because in terms of draft capital, you really don't have a lot in 2024. I mean, we're talking about the 207, the 307, the 311, the 407, and 408. And I know you've been hitting on 4th round picks in the last couple of years, but I mean, all the power to if you hit again. I just don't think it's going to be likely. So this is really where I think you might need to think about making some trades to acquire some draft capital and retool for this year. This is the hardest part, especially since I know that you've been thriving with some of these guys on your roster. And if things break wrong in the offseason for you, it becomes almost a must trade, right? Tajay Spears looks primed to take the Tennessee job, and that would be great. And at the same time, Josh Jacobs and Tony Pollard have question marks and could be adding someone in their backfields or leaving their backfields. Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins both have question marks going into next year. T. Higgins could be leaving Cincinnati. It'd be an unknown. So there's a lot of question marks on your starting roster about, will this guy be as valuable next year, right? A.J. Dillon's another example of that. Jacoby Myers, another example of that. So if things break wrong in the offseason, I would be looking to trade Cooper Kupp late in the offseason. I think that you could be looking at a time around the NFL draft where you're able to send Cooper Kupp to someone for maybe a young wide receiver and a second, or a young wide receiver and a super late first, right? At that point, I think that is sort of what you should be looking for. because this team will need a reload if there are some things that don't go your way in the offseason. And it's hard, right? It's hard to say that for sure. Going forward, though, you still have your 25, 26, and 27 firsts. Plenty of firepower to try and reload and relaunch for 2024 championship if you wanted to do that. Plenty of draft capital, though, to keep and hold in your back pocket. If you want to say, look, I get the 2024 picks and maybe a trade of Cooper Kupp or one of the aging guys. And instead, if I don't hit with those, then I'm just keeping my draft capital because I'll need to rebuild after that. So it's up to you on how you want to play that necessarily. But like, in my opinion, I think that there's opportunity for you to go out, make some trades this offseason that can prepare you to make a run in 2024 while also still keeping your draft capital in 2025. So, yeah, overall, I think you have a solid team. I think this team is going to compete again next year. It'll be interesting to see what some of the offseason changes do to your roster. You probably have the roster that will change the most depending upon what offseason moves are made, which is an uneasy feeling, I can imagine. So I wish you the best of luck with that, and I wish you continued success here in this league as you continue to grow your roster, but only as long as you don't beat me. All right? So, all right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Next week, we will be back with yet another roster review. We're going to be going back to the NA division, and we're going to be reviewing yet another Bears fan. That's your hint for that. So I hope you guys appreciated this. If you've made it this long in the video, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribed. It really does help the channel, and I appreciate it. So I will see you next week. And as always, this is the Mad Lad Delftdad signing off.